What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here to delve even deeper into the game. Spurs 1, Leicester 2, which was a very damning game for Ange Postecoglou and Tottenham Hotspur in terms of the relegation battle. But before we get into that, let's show some love to our sponsors, Stocks FC. Link in the description below, QR code on screen. Go and show them some love, people, as they've been showing us a hella lot of love over the past month or so. Let's go and have a look how our stocks are doing. Richarlison, Romero, Foden, Decky, Van der Ven, all still Mateta, all showing us still some nice profit. And, you know, these players as well are going to be getting rewards. You look at Foden, scored again on the weekend against Chelsea. Richarlison scored again against Leicester. And then you've got stocks like Romero and Mickey Van der Ven going up in the anticipation of their returns. Mateta as well. He's in a real rich vein of form. So it looks as though the tips that we've been giving you over the last couple of weeks are really coming to fruition. Something interesting which I've spotted as well, if you go and look at the latest IPO that's being launched, is Amad Diallo, who is obviously smashing it for Manchester United at the moment. If a goal is going to come to Manchester United, it feels like it's all Amad Diallo is most definitely going to be involved. And in 18 hours, then the IPO is launching, so be able to purchase your stocks in Amad Diallo, $1.73. There is a 25,000 stock sharing in Amad Diallo, so get in while you can, because if you don't get in, then all the other remaining stocks will be deleted. But yeah, look, get involved in Stocks FC, guys, but remember that, you know, it's not used for a second wage or anything like that. It really isn't. It's just a bit of fun, guys. Me and Sim have been really enjoying it over the past couple of months, getting involved. And only use what you can afford to lose, people. It's just a bit of fun. Like I said, not to be used as a second wage, but link is in description below. If you use our link, you get 5 free loan players. We only got 2, and the 2 loan players we did get was Jeremy Doku and Elijah Adebayo, but you get 5 packs to open, and all the profit that these players make for completely free, you get to keep the profits at the end of the loan duration. So link in description below, QR code on screen. Get involved in Stocks FC. But let's delve into this Leicester game. I don't think he had that much to do in the game yesterday. I thought, you know, some crosses I thought he claimed well. I just marked him down on because the goal that we conceded, I just thought he should have got to, essentially. You know, he came diving out and he missed the ball. And when you come diving out like that, you got to get the ball, essentially. So, look, I don't think it was a bad performance by any stretch of the imagination. I just felt like there was something that in that moment he could have done better to stop the goal. So I think in the second goal that we did concede, I don't think he could have done much with it. It's a brilliant strike from, you know, 25, 30 yards out where, you know, it just bends around him. And, it, you know, sometimes you just can't stop those strikes. So, look, I thought he didn't have much to do, but when he was called into action for that goal that we conceded, he was found wanting, and he really should have got there. It was a low cross straight across him. So Antonin Kinski gets a 5 from me. Brian, what's your Antonin Kinski review?
Exactly the same as you. I mean, one thing I did see is, do you see that incredible assist he almost got for Kulusevski? We saw his distribution. We could see that's something that's been sorely lacking, which is wonderful to see. But like I said, first goal, bit of a lack of communication. Couldn't do anything with the second goal. And wasn't really called into action for much more, really, was he? Yeah,
no, exactly. Next up, we're going to go to Pedro Porro. 4s all round for Pedro. And I mentioned in the review about Pedro Porro, he seemed to be our biggest attacking threat, but our biggest defensive liability. Had his hand in both the goals that we did concede. The first one was a poor pass. The second one, he just was caught completely out of position. And, you know, he hits the bar with a deflected free kick. He puts the cross in, a brilliant cross for Richarlison's goal. And he also made the keeper work in the first half as well. So there's a lot of good and a lot of bad. But what really frustrated me for Pedro Porro yesterday, 2-1 down. He gets in such a good position to cross the ball. And for some strange reason, he just tries to welly the ball and have a crack from some really tight angle. And it just made no sense. Like, that just really frustrated me yesterday.
Well, you know what? Porro's done that yesterday, but there's been a lot of times where, and not just Spurs, where players pass when they should shoot and shoot when they pass. I don't know if that's pure aggression and anger at the situation, but you're right. there's no one you'd want in that position more on the team to whip that ball in or try and get a ball across the 6-yard box or within the danger zones for an oncoming player. But as you said, he is just in the red zone, overused. His passing, his passing has become sloppy. Not his crossing, his passing and his positioning.
But even his crossing, Brian, apart from that one cross, what else did he do in terms of crossing for the rest of the game?
Yeah, you're probably right. That's even, yeah. So everything, I honestly think if he doesn't get a rest soon, he's going to be the next one on the injury list.
Yeah.
He'll just break. He'll just break down. He'll just break down. But hopefully Porro can get a rest or at least get back to form. But he is absolutely exhausted, and it's unfortunate that a player that has got so much ability is just woefully out of form at the moment.
Next up is Radu Dragusin. 5s all round for Radu. Another one, I thought he could have done better with the cross that came in for Vardy's goal, and I thought he should have been a bit more aggressive when Al Kanous just had the freedom of the midfield, where, you know, Ben Davis and Dragusin were just a bit more reserved and just staying back, and they should have pressed on and really pressed the man. But I actually, look, Dragusin frustrates me week in, week out with his playing out the back. Yep. And this game was no different. However, I do feel like he played a couple more passes where, you know, he showed a bit of vision in this game. There was one chance he created for Kulusevski.
Yeah, look, he's another one you can add to Porro, who's exhausted. I think this was his 23rd game straight starting, which is insane. He's been ill, got the head injury or whatever it was against Everton. And like you said, Ben, his playing out from the back is not good. And the worrying thing was yesterday for me is when you saw Davies and Dragusin, who have done well as a partnership in certain games this season, as soon as you saw Vardy up against them, you knew it was going to be a tough day for them because there's just no pace there. And they were run ragged. And again, I can't recall much apart from the defensive duties when the goals came in.
Next up is Ben Davis. Yeah, Ben Davis, 5s all round. Again, you know what you're going to get from Ben Davis, hard work and grit, and I think he did show that. Battled away all afternoon, but again, a bit too standoffish, a bit like Dragusin for the second goal. Apart from that, I don't really remember too much impact that he had in the game.
Spot on. There's not much more I can say on that, but again, it's a player that's back from injury and is having to play non-stop to make sure that we have a defence or two defenders that actually are defenders playing there. And like you said, you just know what you're going to get from Ben Davies.
Yeah.
What more can you say?
Archie Gray up next, 6s all round for Archie. Yeah, again, Archie's just been asked to play here, play there, play everywhere. Started off the game at left back, came into the midfield in the second half. He's a player that I've just got so much time for, man, because I don't think he had an exceptional performance yesterday, but what he does do, he always keeps up his standards, doesn't he? Always keeps up his standards. Such a tidy player on the ball, always looking to progress it. And, you know, whatever position you ask him to play, he always keeps it at a really good level.
He really does, and I don't think he's getting enough credit. You know, so yes, some of the games maybe he's been a bit. He could have done better, but you look at it. This kid's come in who is meant to be a midfielder, has had not even. I don't think if we put all the time he played together in midfield this season for Spurs, I don't even think you get one game of football, or sorry, half of football. Left back, centre back, right back, he's covered it all. And he just gets the job done, or tries to the best of his ability. And what I have loved about him, compared to the others that come out and go, yeah, well, we'll do better, we're sorry, we're this, we're that. He comes out and goes, no excuses. No excuses. We shouldn't be letting this happen. We have to look after. He takes accountability. And for such a young man with a young head on his shoulders to be able to come out and talk like that and take the criticism and own it, rather than excuse it, I think he's going to go on to great things. He really is, and I think he deserves a lot more credit than he's been currently getting.
Absolutely. And also, you're looking at his decision to come to Spurs ahead of Brentford with the way Brentford are going at the moment. Do you think he's regretting that move by any chance?
I pray to God. The only thing I think he'd regret is I think Brentford said they will be playing him constantly in midfield, didn't they? And that would have been the only thing. And would Thomas Frank have done it? But I'm sure whoever does get Archie Gray as the next manager, because whether we get rid of Ange now or the end of the season, hopefully Archie Gray will see another manager, and within his Spurs career, they've got a real good youngster to use. And the one good thing I will say, even maybe the performances haven't always been brilliant, but Archie Gray, for when he does move into a six, is getting one hell of an education about positional play, reading the game, and everything from the back, which will only be a benefit to Archie Gray and Tottenham Hotspur.
Rodrigo Bentancur up next, sixes all round for Rodri, for Lolo. And I thought in the first half he was just giving his all for the team. He was just like a battering ram at times, just running around and putting in those full-blooded challenges, progressing the ball fairly well. There were quite a few moments of sloppy passes and sloppy touches from Bentancur, particularly in the second half, but I felt like in the first half he was just going at a million miles an hour, and then in the second half he kind of tired and quite quickly, which you kind of expect someone of Rodrigo's what we've seen from him so far with the amount of suspensions and injuries he's had this season, not many minutes in his legs. You expected him to last a bit longer compared to some of the other players we have on the pitch.
Yeah, again, first half, I recall actually as well, getting into a couple of scuffles when we were defending corners, weren't we? I was getting worried at one point he might go a bit too far and give away a penalty. Thankfully, he didn't. But yeah, when he's on it, he is such a calming influence, and he can be have such an effect on the team at the moment as one of the experienced ones. But he's just tiring too early. He is just going all out. And then, like you said, Ben, when we're doing the review, he's one of the players that shouldn't be because of the stop-start nature of his season. He should be at least match fit. And all right, we can take into consideration what happened to him against Liverpool, which no one ever wants to see, no matter what team. But like we said, he's just another one running on empty. And when he was in the first half, he really was busting the gut more than most. But then the tiredness caught up with him.
Yeah. Moving on to Pape Matar, falls all round for Pape. And you know what? He should never have started. Ange said it after the game. I have no idea why he did start, but we'll get into that when we talk about Ange Postecoglou in a minute. But I did think, he was getting himself about, showing some energy on the pitch, but I don't know what's going on with Pape, but his technical ability and his ability on the ball just seems to be getting worse and worse every time we see him play. I mean, he's so bang out of form at the moment, Pape. And, he keeps his standards in terms of his off-the-ball work, but on the ball, he's just turned really poor over the past month or so. And yeah, he's able to get a few shots off here and there, but that's pretty much all we see from him on the ball. So many misplaced passes in there. Yeah,
I mean, what I will say with Pape is just before January, like around the Christmas period and whatever, he was actually putting in good performances.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it dropped off of a cliff. And then we hear he's been playing with a knock. And then you're like, right, okay, that could be a massive factor of it. It's been a really poor January for Pape Matar. And you can't entirely blame him if he keeps getting picked with a knock. One thing you can never ever doubt with Pape is his willingness to get up and down that pitch and fight. But just his overall play at the moment, which is the most important thing, is just not up to standard. And I feel sorry for him that his decline has come because we are now playing him where he's not 100% match fit and not on form. It's a bad combination, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. He should never have played yesterday. Never. Lucas Bergval, sixes all round for Lucas. And another player, a bit like Archie Gray, who seems to keep up his standards week in, week out, whenever he's on the pitch. Seems as though, the pre-season boys, the ones that were stepping up then, are stepping up now. And Lucas Bergval is definitely part of that. He's aggressive off the ball, knows when to put his foot in, puts himself about. And then on the ball as well, he's just so creative. I think 2 key passes on the day. One of the only players that was able to make those passes to really hurt Leicester. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get anything off the back of it. it, but he is the one that's always looking to hurt Leicester, whether it be offensively or defensively. And I think this guy is a gem, man. He really is a gem.
He is. He. Every single game, I see him do something new. I see him show something that he hadn't previously. He is growing into the role. He's got a lot of people around him that need to do more to support him. And do you know, one of the things I think Spurs need to do with him or the players on the pitch is obviously, I think it's clear to see he's got that bit of Dele Alli in him, hasn't he? For a reference, he's got that little bit of bite in him, and he is a yellow card waiting to happen. And I think there needs to be one of the leadership team, if you want to call them that, during games that try and calm him down. And because he's got, it's all good, well and good having this bite, but you've got to do it at the right time. And I, like you, I believe we've got a gem on our hands. I really do. And do you know what? I'm just trying to think now. Bergwijn's been playing constantly now for what, about a month? He's not had a settled midfield. Do you remember last season when Sarr came in? It was Sarr, Basuma, Maddison for that 10 game or after Brentford. And for most of it, and they had a bond, they had an understanding where they knew each other's game and they complemented each other. We just haven't been able to do that in midfield. We haven't been able to do it anywhere. Yeah. But Bergwijn is constantly playing with new players. And listen, they train all week. It's no real excuse, but he's just not had a settled midfield. His role has been different from game to game, but he is one of the players that have definitely given everything they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And another player who has given everything they can over the course of the season is Dejan Kulusevski. 5s all round for Decky. And look, I keep saying it every week. God bless this man, because he puts so much effort for the team week in, week out. But as the games progress, he's just able to give less and less and less and less because he's just got no energy left in the tank. He is so jaded right now, Kulusevski. Yep. What you know about Kulusevski, how he's able to physically dominate opponents, how he's able to get up and down the pitch tirelessly hard. He's not able to do any of that right now. And because of the quality of the man and because of the quality of the player, right, he's still able to get himself in positions and get shots off and create big chances for himself. But he had one big chance in the game, didn't put it away. But you could just see how tired he is, and he needs to be taken out the firing line. Like Mikey Moore needs to come in and play ahead of him or something, because we can't keep doing this to Decky. You know, we're going to get him injured. He's going to injure himself, or Ange is going to be the culprit of his injury, because you can clearly see, in front of our very eyes what is happening with Kulusevski right now, and he shouldn't have been playing in the last 3 or 4 games, never mind just this game.
I'll tell you what I've noticed in the last few games, when you look at Kulusevski before the start of a game, he looks his normal self, he looks ready for it. By the 80th minute, if they zoom in on him, or like they do, he looks like he's aged 15 years in the game. Yeah. He looks so beat, knackered, exhausted. And like you said, he's been asked to do so much. And don't get me wrong, by far our player of the season. By far, not even close. But because of all the extra responsibility of him, because of all the extra minutes he's playing, because of his tiredness, he is giving the ball away a lot at the moment. And yes, he has been brilliant. But currently, and I don't blame him. He's absolutely knackered, and literally everything has been on his shoulders this season, hasn't it? It's been if Decky's well, if Decky plays well, we do well. Yeah. And at the moment, due to not being able to rest, being asked to play here, there, and everywhere, it's catching up with him, and you can see it, and it reflects in the way the team are playing.
Yeah, spot on. Next up is Sonny. Brian gives him a 6, as do I. And I felt like with Sonny, you know, he actually started the game with a lot of energy. And, you know, if anything was going to come from us from an attacking perspective, it felt like it was going to come from him. You know, he was getting the ball. He took on his man a couple of times. And, you know, he was getting in that Sonny zone, wasn't he, on the left-hand side of the box, shaping up to shoot. And he did look very dangerous in that first half. But then again, in the second half, like many of the other players, just seemed to wean out of the game slowly and slowly and slowly, where he was pretty much ineffective towards the end of it. But in the first half, I thought he was probably our most dangerous threat.
I was. Listen, when he did that cutting from the left and took a few players on and tried to curl it into the bottom corner, you're like, that's Sonny. That's what we want to see. That's what we've been missing. If Sonny's going to be like this for the game, we're fine. Then he had that wonderful attempt to hit the crossbar. And he thought, okay, today Sonny's on the score sheet. Sonny's gonna, and again, just faded out, didn't he? I can't recall much that he did I can't recall much he did in the second half at all.
You know that chance when he was on the left-hand side of the area and he hit the bar. Was that a shot? Was that a shot or was that a cross?
Do you know what? I'm going to go for shot because we know Sonny is capable of doing it. You know Sonny can pull those kind of things out of the bag. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But that's what this guy can do. He is, when he's on that kind of form and given that space, he can cause terror. But he's just fading out of games. He's just fading out of games because, and you know what? Some of it is down to Spurs play, but then a lot of it is down to Leicester saying, right, we're in the lead now. Drop back. We're going to absolutely soak up all the space and make it impossible to let him have a break and do everything. And Leicester kept him at bay, didn't they?
Yeah, they really did. And last but not least of the starting 11 is Richarlison. 6 all round for Richie. He got taken off early in the second half because it must have been a pre-planned sub. But Andrew also said he was feeling his groin at half-time and really should have come off at half-time. But he wanted to see how it would end up. Ended up coming off pretty much straight after we conceded those 2 goals. I mean, he didn't really have that many touches on the ball. He wasn't really involved in the game much when he was on the pitch. 13 touches when he was on the pitch, and one of those was a goal. So took it very well. It was on the end of a Pedro Porro cross, but I don't blame him entirely. You know, he was dropping deep, trying to get himself involved in the game. However, we weren't providing the service for him either. So, he took his chance very well, and that's why he gets a 6.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he scored his goal. But this is the difference we have between him and Solanke. When Solanke needs service and doesn't get it, what he will do is go and hold up the play. His work rate, outstanding, like coming drop back into our half and his running with the ball to bring others into play is exceptional on another level. And Richarlison isn't that striker.
Yeah.
Richarlison will don't get me wrong, he'll press all day long and be a nightmare for those defenders, but you need to get service to him. And we saw last season when he went on that run, if you give service to him, he can put this ball away and he can get amongst the goals. And apart from that cross where he had the opportunity, we couldn't find him. We just could not get the ball to him, could not give him any opportunities. And he faded out, and obviously he was taken off Varange for fitness reasons, although we were told he stayed behind 2 weeks to make sure he was extra fit so he didn't break down. But yeah, Richarlison just couldn't get into the game, could he?
No. But he did get on the score sheet, and that's 2 goals in his last two Premier League games as well, against Everton and now against Leicester. Let's just hope that there's nothing in that groin injury, because we're going to goddamn need him over the next couple of months. Let's go on to the substitutes. Mikey Moore, Brian gives him a 5, I gave him a 6. I mean, he came on, he did add a bit of extra energy, he tried incredibly hard, but look, as much as I rate Mikey Moore and as much as I thought he had a brilliant performance last time out against Hoffenheim against Everton, I felt like we just put a bit too much of our hopes on Mikey Moore yesterday. We're asking a 17-year-old to basically get us out the shit. And look, he tried his hardest and added a bit of extra energy, but yeah, no one was there to help him. I felt like every time he got the ball on that left-hand side, no one went over to try and help him, to try to provide an extra option with him. He was always on his own trying to beat 1 or 2 Leicester players every time.
Yeah, and at one point we actually thought he might have scored a goal. It was a wonderful save from the Leicester goalkeeper who didn't know it was offside. What a terrific save that was. Would have been ruled out. When he comes on, obviously Spurs, the crowd, I would imagine back home, got very excited because it's the young prospect. It's one of our own. But again, he's another one that's come back from a sustained period of time out. And we're asking a 17-year-old to come on and make the difference when we need a goal. Well, obviously, he can create it. Hasn't scored yet, but we can see what he can do. And apart from that shot, I can't recall seeing him do much. Apart from, like you said, give more energy.
Yeah. And last but not least is Sergio Reguilon. Brian gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. Didn't provide too much quality, But again, he provided a lot of energy down that left-hand side. What we know of Sergio Reguilon, why I think it's absolutely madness why we haven't seen him play more over the course of the last month with the injuries that we've been going through. He actually has those energy levels to get up and down, put his foot in as well. And that's exactly what he did against Leicester. Yeah, and an attacking phase and an attacking perspective didn't offer much, but he adds energy into the game, and that's what we need pretty much every game at the moment.
Yeah, we do. And I mean, at the start of the season, I don't see why Reguilon's here. I don't see him getting a game, but the way the chips have fallen, we have needed him. And when he has come on, he has offered balance on that left side because obviously he's a natural left footer. He has offered energy, but I personally cannot remember a single thing he did yesterday. Not one. And that's why I've given him a 5, because he's come on. I can't give him anything lower. I'm certainly not giving him any higher. So for me, it's a 5.
And last but not least, Ange Postecoglou, 3s all round for Ange. And yeah, I mean, I just don't get the team selection. I don't get why Pape started. I don't get why Reguilon didn't start. Put Archie Gray in midfield. Put Reguilon at left back. What has Lancashire got to do to get more minutes than he does? He came on in the 93rd, 94th minute when we're pressing for a goal. If you're going to take off our number 9 in Richarlison, why not bring on another number 9 in Lancashire instead of putting Son up top, where we know, this season pretty much he hasn't worked there. I know he did well there last season, got 17 goals, but whenever we've seen him there this season, it just hasn't worked. So why we keep persisting with that? Why is Kulusevski just playing 90 minutes when you can clearly see he's running on empty?
Yep.
Why can't Mikey Moore start a game or two here or there? Like, I just don't get some of the decisions in terms of the personnel this manager makes. And it seems as though a lot of the goals we concede are all just coming from the same areas of the pitch every time, down Pedro Porro's side. He doesn't do anything tactically to really alleviate that. And I think his in-game management and starting selection is really putting us more into the shit than we really should be. And you look at the form, 6 losses in the last 7 games. No matter the injury crisis, you've got to be doing better than that. You have to be doing better than that. You can't lose at home in the same season to Ipswich and to Leicester, 2 of the promoted sides. You had ambitions to finish in the top 4 this season, right? And this is what you're doing. We're getting closer and closer to the relegation battle. And you're losing to a team that's below you in Leicester, who have lost 7 straight games. I mean, it's just nowhere near good enough.
Well, what I find is obviously I would love to see some of these youngsters start, especially in the Premier League, because it's the cups that are our only chance of success this season. Let's be serious. And see what they can do, and have someone like a Kulusevski on the bench. And if need be, with 30 minutes to go, because we've seen it for 30 minutes, best part of the first half, they will run their socks off and then it all catches up with them. Why not give a couple of youngsters a go or rotate where you can, where there have been bodies, and then if need be, bring these players on to see the job through or go get the job done or see it out, whatever terminology you want to use. But the one thing that I've mentioned, you mentioned, I don't get this whole thing with Lancashire. The whole thing with, is he going out on loan last season? No, he's part of our plans. He's going to be he's going to have a part to play this season. Then when you saw him at Galatasaray is one of those grounds that is known for being the most volatile, hostile, toxic. I mean, what an education for the young kid to go on, get 90 minutes. Yes, like you said, he got sent off, but he scored as well. You'd think, well, if you're giving him a game there, you've definitely got plans for him. You've definitely seen something, because you wouldn't start and hand a debut in Europe at a ground like that and say, right, off you go, to then get absolutely no minutes, especially when the strikers have needed help. And you've got a ready-made striker. We don't know if he's going to get amongst the goals, but when we've needed physicality, he's got the physicality.
Yeah.
We clearly saw in pre-season, he knows where the net is.
Yeah.
He's got the attributes to fit into the system, and he's there. And when you take Richarlison off, when you need a goal, and you don't bring a striker on, it blows my mind. That decision blows my mind, and the treatment of Will Lancashire really gets to me because of, and it's only because you chucked him into the the firing line at Galatasaray. And you would have thought, right, this is where your education starts. You're now going to feature a lot more. I'm giving you all the confidence to start in one of these toughest grounds you're ever playing at. What is he now, 19, 20, Lancashire?
19, yeah.
And then just not to see him at all. How do we know what he can do?
Well, we know what he can do because he scored away at Galatasaray. And it's been like, if you're not going to get a chance at Leicester at home, when are you going to get a chance?
Exactly. And I mean, what time did he come on? What time did, I can't remember exactly. What minute did he come on?
94th.
And what was there, 7 minutes of extra time?
Yeah. Yeah. He came on with 3 minutes to go of stoppage time.
It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure Ange has his reasons, but from where you, like I said, you start him in a game like that to then not even bring him on against Tamworth. You bring Solanke on when Solanke needed a rest, and now look at Solanke. It just blows my mind.
But anyway, that is our player ratings for the 2-1 loss against Leicester. Let me know your ratings in the comments section below.